It's official, y'all. We finally hit a year in business. And if you're new here, my name is Hansel Moore. I'm the owner of Take 27 Studios, a content and production studio in downtown Dallas where we help a ton of brands, creators, and businesses achieve their goals with production services and also rental services in the studio as well. And today, I'm gonna give y'all the real deal, uncut, ups and downs, the highs and lows of this past year and do a little reflection and also talking about the future of my business. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. What's up, y'all? So it's been a minute since I actually talked about my business and we are now a year in business. So it's a lot to talk about, a lot of updates, a lot of things that changed, like the podcast room that I'm in now, and you probably seen in the previous video when I did the remodel. But it's a lot of change going on in the studio right now, and I want to share that with y'all today. And what I've learned and noticed, like, it's a lot of business that don't even make it to a year. So very blessed that we got to this point, and more to come, you know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about some of the wins, the losses, the challenges, the obstacles, and how we overcame them, and some of the great things that happened within the last year, like being on entrepreneur.com, being shouted out by Peerspace. It's a whole lot of things that happen, but it's a whole lot of bad things. I ain't gonna say bad, but like crazy things that happen in the studio as well. All right, y'all. So first off, I'm the type of person that likes to eat my food before my dessert, so we're gonna get into the challenges. So firstly, when you're starting a business, let alone a brick and mortar business where you have a physical location, a lot of things come into play. A lot of things that come up, like upfront cost zoning, where I wasn't even ready for it. This is a whole process in itself. Pricing your product, also, like, it's a ton of different things, even crazy clients that we had in here. We had like some crazy scenarios that happened where I had to change the whole concept of certain parts of the business, where I had to stop allowing certain content to be in the studio. It was crazy. I'm gonna tell y'all about that in a second. But firstly, cost. So when you have and this is for my folks that got like a brick and mortar business where you actually have a physical location. And I understand there's a lot of upfront costs if you're doing like a clothing line or building the software or anything like that. But it hits different when you have a physical location because there's a lot of stuff that you got to get. And me personally, I'm not putting nothing out. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I'm not putting nothing out unless it's perfect or it fits to my vision. So it was a lot of upfront costs, with my psych wall being the biggest upfront cost. And if y'all want me to share that, y'all let me know down in the comments and I'll break down the cost of everything in the studio. But if y'all want to hear that or want me to share that, let me know down in the comments. But anyway, it was a lot of upfront costs because what I wanted was this studio to be aesthetically pleasing in every corner of the room day one. So I wanted to get everything in here day one. So obviously there was a lot of cost that came with it. Boom, that's one. Two, zoning. I did not know it was a whole zoning process. Like, you don't know it until you go through it. Obviously everybody knows about zoning, but until you have a brick and mortar like business, that's a whole nother thing. I had to go down to the county, Dallas County, and fill out this paperwork. I had to get a certificate of occupancy. It was a whole thing. And mind you, you can't start your business. You can't open your doors until you get that certificate of occupancy. Like, they got fines and all kind of crazy stuff. And I don't want no smoke with the government or the county or whoever, you know what I'm saying? No extra fines because sometimes they get a little pricey. So that was a whole thing, and that took about 2 months. Luckily, we were building out the studio in those 2 months, so it really didn't hurt us too much, but I want to make sure I got that done ASAP, you know what I'm saying? Because once you into brick and mortar, you got a lease to pay for. Like, that add up over time, and if you're not making no money, you get a little wicked. So definitely was an obstacle I had to learn, and definitely was a learning curve, but we got past it, we overcame, and we got the doors open. So next, now we ready to go to market, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta think about branding, pricing, and what do you price your business, depending on what it is. In my case, I have a content creation studio. So when I first started, I didn't have a website, and that's something new that I want to share with y'all. We do have a website now. Link is right here. But anyway, we started out on Peerspace. And Peerspace is pretty much like an Airbnb site for content creation. Not even content creation spaces, but we do have a lot of those on there. But just for rentals for events like baby showers, wedding receptions, content creation studios, production events. Like, networking events. It's so much you can do on there. So if you're doing anything event-wise or production-wise, you can go on a site like Peerspace or Gigster, preferably Peerspace, but a site like that, and you can find the perfect space that you're looking for locally in whatever city you're in. So we started on Peerspace, and we found great success on Peerspace very early, I would say. But let me not get into the wins yet. I'm gonna say that for another segment of the video, so stay tuned. But that was a learning curve. We had to get the pictures done. I did it myself. I'm pretty decent with the camera, so you know what I'm saying, go check out the pictures. But we had to get the pictures done. We had to work on marketing. We had to work on branding the actual business so people can trust you. Because when you're starting a business, people in your new, people want to make sure you're not a scam, that you have good quality, that your place is a real place. So you actually got to work on your branding and marketing so people can trust you, because people aren't going to spend money with you unless they trust you and you got good reviews. I thank God that we have we had more than 60 clients last year, but we have about 60 reviews and they're all 5 stars. So that's a blessing in itself, and that goes to show the level of excellence we have here at Take 27 Studios. So we do great in the customer service realm, I would say. Yeah, so let me take a step back. So pricing. How do you price a space like this? And some of you might be asking, because I had some people reach out to me before asking, like, how do you price your product? So what I did was I went on Peerspace and pretty much looked at the market, look at studios with similar square footage, similar things that I offer, that they offer as well, and kind of see where I land in that. Because a lot of places have just a production studio with a couple of backdrops, maybe have a psych wall, but we have a psych wall, paper backdrops, podcast room, lounge, 2 bathrooms, 2,100 square feet. We're pretty decent sized space, and we pretty much have everything. So I kind of priced a little higher than most, because when you book at Take 27 Studios, you get the whole entire studio. So not just the podcast room, not just the production room, but everything. So we provide a great price. And if you want to see the price, link in the description below, because it does vary for the season, but that's another video. But anyway, we are decently priced. We're not like overpriced like 500 an hour. We're not there yet, but we're a decent price. That's pretty much how I found my price and how to price my business, because we've been doing pretty good, but that was a challenge a little bit. And the last thing that I want to bring up, and this is for anybody owning a brick and mortar space, hosting people. This was the biggest challenge that I had to deal with, and the biggest headache and cause of a little bit of anxiety with owning a content creation studio. When you have different groups of people that bring a ton of people. Now, we don't mind events. We throw events in here all the time, but it's a certain type of content I started to decline on this at the studio, and that's the 20v1 type style videos. They just it just get out of hand sometimes, because it'll be somebody that's booking, and then they have like 60 people show up, and it fits 60. It can fit up to 60 people comfortably. But when you got so many personalities and so many different people in the room that don't know each other, that's when you run into some issues. And we had an issue where somebody got into a fight. It was crazy. Like, we got cameras so we could see, and it got escalated to the point where it was a huge hole in the wall. When I came in to go straighten up the spot after the book ended, I was behooved. I was flabbergasted. Like, I was shocked. It was a hole like 3 feet tall, 2 feet wide in the front. And I'm gonna show you a picture here, but I was heated. And it's like, the dude just left. He didn't even say nothing about it. He waited on me to hit him up like, hey, what's going on? He was like, yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. The great thing about Peerspace, they have insurance where if a guest from Peerspace messes anything and breaks anything, Peerspace will take care of it and kind of put it on the person, but Peerspace will take care of it no matter what. And that's why I love Peerspace, and they're a great platform to be a part of. So that was the main thing, and we don't even allow that type of content anymore, because it's always a wild card versus like a production photo shoot, something easy that we know people are going to act civilized. But those type videos, nah, I can't do it. So if you into that, I'm sorry, can't do it here. So yeah, so when you have your business, you got to really be cognizant and mindful of the audience. And all money ain't good money. I'm gonna just be honest with you, because if somebody were to get severely hurt in your business is up for grabs at that point. People can sue. You got to go through all this other stuff. That's why you got to get your paperwork in order. But anyway, you don't want to have to go through that. So all money ain't good money. Some clients you got to turn down because they'll be more liability and you're going to end up losing money in the long run anyway. So be smart and pick the right battles and pick the right clients to work with. Also, last thing I want to add on the challenges. Definitely know your high and low seasons, because last year we took a major hit in the holiday seasons. And I think I know why. So in the holiday seasons, people are traveling and people aren't really being productive. That's one. And then two, the people that are in studios, they're trying to take holiday pictures. And that's something we did not prepare for at all. We didn't decorate for the holidays. So that hit the business a ton. That's pretty much like the lowest. November and December were our lowest producing months of the whole year. And it was crazy. And even though we started in July officially, we were rocking and rolling early when we first started. But like when November, December came around and those holiday seasons came, it hit like a rock, and I'm gonna be honest. And that's why in the business, you should always keep an extra lump sum of money on the side for those slow seasons. And then this year, we're gonna adapt for that and get prepared for the holiday season, because people want to do holiday photos, especially Christmas. Like at the time of shooting this video, it is October 1st, and I'm finna roll out the Christmas trees, cause like Christmas photos is hot topic around this time. People take, fall photos, kind of, maybe Thanksgiving pictures, but Christmas, if you're a content creation studio, definitely decorate for that and definitely have sets for that, because you're gonna miss out on a whole lot of money, and I ain't going out like that this year. Like even the podcast room, I'm gonna throw some Christmas trees out, switch some stuff out, and I'm also redoing my podcast, so you're going to see that too. If you check out my podcast, there's going to be a link in the description as well. But yeah, definitely get hip with those seasons, especially in the content creation space in this type of business. So if you got a studio, one of my biggest advices for you is decorate for the holidays, for sure. Now we got the veggies out the way. Let's go and get to the main course. So the wins. So we had a ton of great wins this past year, starting in July, and I can't complain. Starting from meeting new people, the relationships we've grown, the productions we helped out with, the articles we've been a part of. It's been such a ride this year. And I want to start out with the people. I would say the people that we've met in the beginning were awesome. Still, some people that became close friends to this day. Because in the beginning, before I had a code on the door, I used to actually be here unlocking the studio for people, waiting on them to get here before I left. And that was the way I had to open up. It was very unsystematic, I would say. Took a lot of time, especially if I got a couple bookings in a day and I don't live close to the studio. So that was a chore. But anyway, I got the chance to meet a ton of great people. Work with a ton of great people on different things, projects. You've probably seen on the Take 27 Studios page. A lot of those people I met in the studio. And now I'm able to, if a customer or client reaches out and they need like a big crew, I know people now because I've met with cinematographers, videographers, photographers, like everybody you'll need for production, anything. You can come to me and I know somebody just off the strength of owning this studio and connecting with people and networking with people. It's been amazing. And I had some amazing clients. I know I just talked about some of the bad clients we had, but the good outweighs the bad for sure in this scenario, because we had some great people doing great things, doing movies, shows, big content creators, small up and coming content creators, you name it. We had it in the studio, even rappers, celebrities. They've been in this studio. So it's been great to see all the great things people have been shooting, creating. And that's what we're doing this for. You know what I'm saying? Just to create, get our creativity out there in the world and share with other people. So the people has been my number one favorite thing about owning this studio. And I just can't complain. The people are number one. So Number two is the type of production. So when you own a business, you want to make money, obviously. So sometimes we do, get some small productions that come in for an hour or two, and that still helps with the cost. But when we get those big productions that want to be in here all day, that's when the real magic happens. And those are blessings as well, because people don't have to book with you. They don't have to choose your space. They don't have to choose you. But when they do, it's always a blessing. So I'm always appreciative of that. But once you get those big deals, when those big clients come in and they want to book all day long, and that can be hundreds of dollars, that can be 1/3 or half of your rent on the unit by itself if you get the right client. So that's a whole nother video that I'm probably going to do, is talking about branding and branding to the right people, because there's some people that just want to come in for 30 minutes, an hour. That's fine. But we have like a 2-hour minimum here, because at that point it don't even make sense to even, get somebody in, because most of the time, call a spade, people come in trying to do an hour and they end up going over anyway. So you're going to end up paying that cost later anyway, so you might as well knock out a whole 2 hours. But if you want me to get into detail of that, let me know down in the comments so we can talk about it. But yeah, and then another thing that happened this year is we got 2 articles wrote on us, and from the entrepreneur.com and also Peerspace. I also did a video on those in more detail right here, but those were great. It was crazy, the fact that I got an email from Peerspace first, and they were like, hey, we love your content. We see your video on YouTube. So I tell people all the time, like, just post the content on YouTube, Instagram, social media. Just post it. You never know who will see it. But Peerspace reached out, and if you're watching Peerspace team, what's up? Appreciate y'all for watching. But they reached out. We did an interview via Zoom, and they did an article on me, and then they came back and was like, hey, the entrepreneur.com wants to do an article on you as well. I'm like, what? Entrepreneur.com? Okay, say less. So we did the interview with them. It was pretty much like a questionnaire, and they posted it on the site. And some of you that's watching right now are subscribers from seeing me on entrepreneur.com, because we had the #1 story for like 2 days. It was crazy. And like on the whole site. And I'm gonna link that in the description as well if y'all want to check that out. But it was amazing. It was this ride has been amazing, and honestly, you won't know until you do it. I wouldn't have known if I had that fear, because everybody has that doubt, but I overcame it and pushed through, and look at everything that's happening. And we're projected to do so good this year as well, and appreciate y'all. If y'all some of them people that seen that article or just been following the journey, I appreciate you wholeheartedly, for sure. All right, and next we're gonna talk about like upgrading the space. And like, for example, firstly, obviously the elephant in the room, the podcast room has definitely changed since before when I first made the podcast room. It's changed a lot, as you can see. I love this setup because it's so diverse. Because when you have a business, and I know I've been saying business a lot, but I'm trying to really get y'all to get it. When you have a business, you have to evolve, because if you don't, you become like a blockbuster and you get lost with the times. So I wanted to transform the podcast room to be diverse, not only for podcasts, but for content on Instagram. For a lot of people are doing this trend now where they're doing like motivational speaking or just sharing game online using a similar setup as this, but then they're not necessarily on a podcast, but they like this look. That's how they want to create their content. So you can either do a podcast, use content, or do what I'm doing right now, making a YouTube video in the podcast room just because you like the aesthetic of the space. So I wanted to make this space very diverse, and this is only the beginning. I'm going to, in the production room, change some lights in there. And because I've heard a lot of people saying they want to be able to control the lighting, because the lighting in the ceiling is manual. So if you want a different color, I have to go up there and change it myself. But I'm working on it. I'm getting some upgraded lights. I'm gonna throw an iPad on the wall, and it's gonna be able to be controlled. And that's gonna only increase the revenue in my business, because people are looking for that. And you gotta keep your ear to the streets and understand what people want. Every good business also adapts to what the people want and listening to their customers. Perfect example, Cracker Barrel, when they tried to change their look and change their logo. It was an uproar of people that didn't like the new look. And you know what they did? They listened and put the old logo back to what everybody loves. So when you own the business, you gotta listen to the people, listen to your clients, because they're the ones are trusting you to spend their money with. So why not listen to the people of what they want? If they want a certain thing and they say, we want to pay you more if you had this, why not? It's only doing your business good. So moral of the story, listen to the people. Lastly, we do have our own website now. So we do have Take 27 Studios, link right here, but we have a new website and we're offering more things than just renting the space. So we're up the level and we've been doing classes, events. We are launching our merch. Hasn't came out yet, but when it does, it's gonna be linked in this description, and I'm gonna let y'all know. Y'all just follow the Take 27 Studios Instagram page for all the updates and things before it even hits YouTube. And what else are we doing? We're doing production services. I'm actually gonna start doing productions myself. I actually have some productions lined up. In the past, it's pretty much like people, if somebody reached out and wanted some help with something, I'll do it every now and then, depending on the project. But now I'm gonna open it up to the public for people to book directly with me if they have a project they wanna do. And I'm only taking 2 clients per month right now because I got my own content to make. But when you work with me, just know it's gonna be quality, as you can see on this video. But yeah, so we doing a lot of different things. And also, if you want, we can pretty much cover everything, because like I said, going back to earlier in the video, all the people that I know, I can bring in the right people for whatever job that you're looking for. So even if it's not me, if it's photography, because I'm more on the video side, but if it's photography, I got a person for you. So yeah, so a lot of great things has been going on. Make sure y'all stay tuned on that, because we're doing a lot. And just a sneak peek, we finna start getting into movies too. So check that out. Stay tuned for that later, for sure. So next, let's talk about what I've learned in this year. And the biggest thing that I've learned that's been sitting on my mind and my heart this whole year is progression over perfection. Because when you try to be perfect, you don't get things done, because you go into analysis paralysis, and that happens to me a ton. And progression over perfection actually gets you there. You know, always showing up, always growing, always learning, always trying to be better. And you can take that with anything in life, not just business or the content creation studio. I live that every day with everything, with projects, day job, everything. Progression over perfection, because once you just start, because that's literally what I did with this studio, and just make it happen. Because if I were to wait it for the perfect moment, that wouldn't happen. I wouldn't have started the studio. I wouldn't have had those articles. I wouldn't have met the right people. I wouldn't have revenue for my business. I wouldn't have new content for my own channels. Like, I wouldn't have none of the things that I have today if I just wanted to be perfect. Because truth to be told, nobody's perfect. It's never gonna be a perfect scenario. It's never gonna be a perfect situation. You just gotta do it and let God put you in the right positions, because it wouldn't happen unless God made it so anyway. So just make it happen. And some other things that I've learned that I wanna call out: being cognizant of seasons to your business. Depending on what your business is, you got to be aware of the seasons. You're not going to sell a t-shirt in January, because the season calls for a hoodie. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to not decorate the studio like I didn't do in the past this year, because that's what the people want around that time. So you got to be really cognizant of the timing, your seasons, listening to your people, growing your business, figure out what works and what doesn't work. Because if somebody's not using the space, like for example, the podcast space got used every now and then. Probably I can count on one hand how many times the podcast space got used last year. And well, let me stop lying, probably 2 hands. We got a couple folks that came in, but we already getting more people coming in right now. And I haven't even really posted about the podcast space yet. I've been showing like little snippets to people, and we're already about on pace to beat last year in the podcast room, right? So know your audience, grow, in progression over perfection. So what's next for Take 27 Studios in year 2? A ton. We want to collab more. We want to get better at consistency with posting on social media and marketing. By the grace of God, we've still been able to get a lot of good clients, but we can only grow from here. We want to help more people, be inspiration to others. You know what I'm saying? From the city I came from, Memphis, Tennessee, it's a lot of people that don't know a different way than the way that's been going on in the city. And I want to show the young folks a different way. And owning your own business in this type of framework, in this today's digital world, is an option and a way to go. And I want to work more with kids and work more with production studios and just get bigger all around. And like I said before, we want to get into some production and film. And we've been on a great path. We have that great trajectory that we're on now. And I want to start helping more people as well. I always had a passion for helping people. So now I might as well just say it. Not only am I going to help people in production services, but I also want to start taking on like mentees and also doing some consulting work as well. So if you have aspirations to do similar to this or a content creation studio in whatever city that you are in, please email me down below or DM the studio page on Instagram. And I'll be happy to set up some time with you and talk about what you got planned and what business that you're trying to do. And if it's content creation studio, perfect. I know a lot about it. So, well, yeah, so that's pretty much what's next for Take 27 Studios. 1 year is a milestone, but it's only the beginning. If you supported Take 27 Studios in any way, I sincerely want to say thank you. And if you're starting your own thing, just want to let you know it's not easy, but it's worth it. So if you watched to the end of this video, I sincerely thank you as well for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, people, peace.